So let's talk about lead flow, what lead flow is. So if you guys are wholesaling houses and you are marketing for any type of leads, what's up? You're marketing for any type of deals, any type of leads. Leads come into your business, and then what happens to that lead as it goes through the flow of your business, and what happens at certain different points. So here's the thing. A lead comes in, let's say it comes in from direct mail, comes in from pay-per-click advertising, comes in from, even a lead is generated through cold calling, or leads are, come in from ringless voicemail, or, any other source, right, that the lead's coming in. So we use callrail.com, right? Callrail.com. So the lead comes into an inbound tracked phone number through CallRail. So I probably have, 200 phone numbers right now with CallRail. So what CallRail does, it allows you to create a tracking phone number, and it allows you to name the campaign on where that lead source is coming in from. So we'll have a RVM campaign where that lead comes in. We have a direct mail piece, and that direct mail might be pre-foreclosures, and we use in all the pre-foreclosures we send out go into that specific phone number inside of CallRail, right? So in that phone number, if we have cold calling, cold calling, we're going to have an outbound caller ID number. That caller ID number is going to be is basically a cold calling campaign inside of CallRail. So CallRail is essentially our phone system where all the leads come into CallRail, and they are marked as each specific campaign. So if I was going to ask you, where is the majority of your leads coming from, you should be able to easily answer me and say, listen, we're getting most of our leads from pre-foreclosure campaign that's sending a postcard. And you should know that by the amount of inbound. You can get reports inside of CallRail, and it will tell you all the different leads coming in. Now, as the leads come into your business, they're going into CallRail. The next thing inside a CallRail that happens is what's called a call flow, right? A call flow. Now, a call flow, it basically tells you how that lead will be routed in your business, right? So the lead will be routed a couple different ways. You can have it route to a straight inbound to a voicemail. So you're going to record a voicemail, and then they're going to leave their name, telephone number, information after the phone. Or what happens is they can go through what's called a simul call, where the call immediately rings two different lead managers, and whoever picks up first essentially talks to the seller and gets that deal. What we do for our lead flow is we have it come in, right, and it's going to ring our main line, and it's going to ring a couple, 2-3 times. I think it's like 5 times, right? If it's not picked up, it's going to then try the next line. If it's not picked up, it's going to try the next line. So we have 3 lead managers. So it's going to ring first the first lead manager, right, to answer live, right? Now we answer live from 9 o'clock in the morning to 6 o'clock at night, Monday through Friday. And then after weekends, it goes into voicemail. So Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, we answer all calls live. So why, and there's always a contentious debate about answering calls live or directing to a voicemail. Now, I am a proponent of answering calls live because a seller calls in, right? And they get a live person that they talk to. We're going to build a rapport with them, and then we're going to book an appointment, right? So what happens is if a seller calls in and they get a voicemail, what's going to happen, right? They get a voicemail, they might just hang up on the voicemail. They might not leave a message on there. And now they do leave a voicemail on there. It typically takes anywhere from 5 to 7 days to get that seller back on the phone to have a conversation with them. So think about it. If we got 2 businesses that are sitting side by side, and a seller calls us and we pick up the phone, we answer the phone, build a rapport, and book an appointment right then and there, and then they call your business and it goes directly to a voicemail. They leave a voicemail, or maybe they don't leave a voicemail, and then it takes you 4, 5, 6 days to get them back on the phone. Who do you think will get that deal the fastest and convert that deal into a contract? Obviously we will, right? So now, if you have to use a voicemail, in your business, then so be it. You may be working a full-time job. You may be sending mail out and you can't answer the phone line. If you physically cannot answer your phone live, then don't do it. Well, what if you have no lead managers and you're a solopreneur? Well, guess what? What I suggest, if you're a solopreneur and this is what you do, have an inbound call, a tracking number in CallRail, have it go to and ring your cell phone, right? It's going to ring your cell phone. And if you pick up, great. And if you can't, have it go to a voicemail. That's the bet. Like if you're in an appointment with a seller, you're talking to a buyer, you're signing a contract, whatever, have it go into a voicemail. If you physically have to do it. Now, there are other services like Call Porter, right? Call Porter is actually a great service that will answer live Monday through Saturday, and they will actually book appointments for you. And they charge you on a per campaign basis, on how many direct mail pieces you drop. So check out Call Porter. Call Porter is a great alternative. They will talk to the sellers. They're local, based, U.S. based people that can talk to your sellers. It's a good alternative for someone that's a solopreneur, and they can book and talk to the seller for you. So check out Call Porter. I don't have any relationship with them. Talked to the guys there before, but I've referred people to them before, and they're a fairly good service for answering and booking appointments for you. So now the lead flow comes into CallRail. We have a tracking number, and then it goes to a call flow, right? And that call flow comes in, and then it will direct that call either to you, and we have it direct to our lead managers, right? So after we direct to the lead managers, our mission for every one of our lead managers is to determine now the validity of the lead, right? So there's a couple different things we have when we're doing either direct mail, or we have a response, right? And then we have a valid lead. There's a valid lead. There's a difference obviously between a response rate and then a valid lead. The valid lead is a lead, and we're talking about a valid lead, is a lead that we can do something with, right? It's in our geographic location. It's not out in the middle of nowhere. And it's a lead that we physically can do something with. It's a seller that wants to sell. They have a property that we can do something with, and that becomes an essential lead. So what do you do with when someone calls in and they say, take me off your list? Well, we put them on a do not mail list. We actually take them off the physical list. What if someone calls in and they have a non-viable lead? It's a lead that's a mobile home out in the middle of nowhere, and it's not attached to land, right? That's considered a non-viable lead. What if we have a mobile home that is in the area, right, and it's not attached to dirt? Well, guess what? That is a non-viable lead. We don't touch that lead. What if we get a piece of dirt that comes in? It's a land deal. That is a viable lead, but we're going to treat that a little bit different because it's a specialty lead. It's not we need a little bit someone that's a little bit more well versed when it comes into dealing land. And honestly, the lead essentially comes back to me. I'll look at it real quick and I'll give it an offer on it, on what to offer on it, and then we'll have them make a soft pass on that type of deal. Before we want to spend too much time, there's something called the 80-20 rule, right? The 80-20 rule, right? The majority of your business comes from 20%. And what happens is you want to focus your energy and effort on that 20% instead of focusing on the 80% that's not going to produce results. So what we do is look at if it comes in and it's within that 80%, it's a land deal, it's a mobile home, it's this weird a commercial property on a piece of dirt that we don't really that's not in our wheelhouse. Then that goes into what's called a specialty lead that we don't really touch, and we'll do like a soft pass or an offer on. But then the actual viable leads are the leads that we count when it comes to cost per lead, right? Cost per lead is important, which is it's the marketing spend for that particular campaign divided by the amount of leads you have. That is your cost per lead. Cost per lead is an incredibly important number that you must know to essentially do this business. So, anyways, so the bottom line is now that you have the inbound leads that are coming in, they're going to go through call rail. You're going to have the phone number. It's going to go through a call flow. That call flow will direct that inbound call to a live answer person. We have a live answer person now that picks up the phone. They're going to determine if it's a non-viable lead, a specialty lead, and a viable lead. Now, we're going to book appointments with every viable lead, irregardless of qualification. This is important. So I was talking to this boardroom member, and their lead flow, they came in, they would offer 60% to the seller over the phone, right? Offer like a bracket between 60 and 65% over the phone to the seller. If the seller said, sure, great, come on out, then that's when they'd set the appointment, right? They're losing so much stinking money. We got a contract on a house yesterday where the seller wanted $270,000 over the phone. We got the contract for $170,000 yesterday, right? Over the phone, they said they wanted $270,000. We got the contract for $100,000 less yesterday, $170,000, because we set the appointment, we met the seller, we built rapport, we educated them on our process, we went through our flow of how, our presentation, and then we closed them and showed them the value of doing business with us. They wanted $270,000 on the phone. But we turned around and through that entire process, we got the contract for $100,000 less. So the bottom line is that people will say, listen, so this guy was literally losing millions of dollars because they're doing all this marketing and they're inbound and they're literally giving people soft passes between like 60 and 70%. And if they didn't take, they wouldn't do that. Right? They wouldn't turn around and go on those appointments. So what we do in our business is that we track the inbound calls that come in, right? They go through a call flow and they ring from 9 o'clock in the morning to 6 o'clock at night. And that inbound call comes in. We're going to determine if it's a viable lead, right? It's either a non-viable specialty lead or it's a viable lead. If it's a viable lead, we're going to book an appointment with every single lead that is potentially viable. Now, here's the thing. Do we qualify a viable lead? What if a viable lead says they want retail? Right? What do we do? Right? What if a viable lead, you still book the appointment? The guy yesterday we signed a contract with wanted retail. He wanted $270,000. We got it for $170,000, right? Because we turned around and educated them on the process. So the bottom line is that yes, right? You do not qualify. You only book the appointment with everybody you possibly can. So our mission is to book as many appointments as possible every single week with as many people as possible. So all our marketing channels coming in, their main purpose is solely to book appointments. What if it comes in and it's a voicemail? Right? So if a lead comes in, now we're going to book an appointment with that seller. Now we're going to physically go on that appointment, meet the seller, and then we're going to attempt to get a contract. So a couple of different things. There's a couple different things that happen after that point. So we go meet with the seller, and either A, we sign the contract, or B, we don't sign the contract. Now that's incredibly important. If we sign the contract, it goes on our whiteboard, we open up escrow, we're going to sell the deal. But what if we go on an appointment and we don't sign a contract, right? That's a really, really key point, because if you don't sign the contract, do you have a follow-up sequence that goes with them? Our sellers go through an essential follow-up sequence, and our most important lead that we target, right, on a consistent and almost daily basis is the lead that we went on an appointment with, but we didn't get the contract. Now, I want to, so today's Friday, right? How can you make money today? And you can make money over the weekend, right? So you can get a deal you want to get a deal over the weekend. I want you to go back today and I want you to look at all your appointments that you went on between now and January, this past January, right? Go out and I want you to go out and talk to all those appointments that you went on, but you didn't get the contract. They maybe wanted retail, they maybe wanted something different. I am willing to bet if you have a good number of those appointments that you went on, you can go out there and you can convert those deals by picking up the phone and calling. You can do two different things with those, and here's what we do. We do a voice broadcast to those sellers. So we'll send out a voice broadcast to those sellers, and it's a voice broadcast basically saying, hey, this is Gia from 1-800-FAIR-OFFER. We are freed up some cash this week, and we're looking to close one more property here in the next 7 to 10 days. If you're thinking about selling your property, if you want to get a high cash offer, please give us a call ASAP. We'd love to talk to you about making a cash offer. That's a voice broadcast we can do to all the sellers in our database that are sellers that we've went to an appointment and we haven't got the contract, right? The bottom line is that those are incredibly important because of what's called the seller decision timeline. The seller decision timeline. A seller goes through a process of making a decision. Think about this. Think about the decision you make about buying a car. What do? First off, you look around at the cars, right? Then what you do is you go on, on different websites and you look at the cars and you check out the cars, and maybe you look at the pricing of the cars, and then you pick out 3 or 4 cars within your price range that you're thinking about purchasing. Then what you do in this timeline process is then you go out and you go attempt to meet sales guys and go to the place, and then you go test drive the cars and you drive them around. And then you still think about it even more, and then you figure out, okay, now you narrow it down to one specific car, and now you want to get the best pricing on the car. Should you lease it? Should you buy it? Should you pay cash for it? What should you do for it? And then you want to talk to someone so you can go out there and negotiate the best deal. That's a timeline that takes place from I want to buy a car, and it might be a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, it might be a month before you actually pull the trigger. Well, sellers go through the exact same thing. Sellers go through a seller decision timeline in the process. So if you meet them at the beginning of the seller decision timeline and they're talking to realtors, they're getting offers from other people, they're deciding what they want to do, they're trying to find another place to live, they're trying to do all that, right? And if you're catching them in that time frame, you will at the beginning of the time frame, and you don't follow up with them, you don't voice broadcast them, you don't call them, you don't go back and touch them in some certain way, then guess what? You're not going to be able to get that deal. Whereas what we do is we consistently follow up with that lead. So when they make a decision, they've heard from us 3 or 4 or 5. They get a direct mail piece from us. They'll get a voice broadcast from us. They'll get a phone call from us. We'll get another phone call from one of our sales guys. We'll follow up with them. As that seller decision timeline process passes, they're going to hear from us over and over and over and over again, which is essentially going to build rapport. We'll even send them a thank you card after the appointment with a little like a Starbucks gift card. Now that creates reciprocity. Reciprocity is incredibly important because if I give you something, you feel indebted to me to give me something back, right? You want to give me the business back. So reciprocity is huge. So every appointment, send them a thank you card with a Starbucks, right? With a thank you with a Starbucks card. That reciprocity will create and want them to come back and do business with you. So you are the potential, right, where you want to turn around and go out and turn around and do a bunch of business, right, with those people and follow up during the process. And you can turn around on this today, you can go out and you can call the people all today and call those people this weekend, and you will make money off those because of that seller decision. You're going to catch someone right when they're about to make a decision. You're going to be right there in front of them, and you're going to go out there and make it happen. All right, so that is what happens after an appointment. You go on an appointment and either they sign or they don't sign, right? If a lead comes in and you talk to them, you book an appointment, great. If you don't talk to them, it goes into a voicemail. You literally call them every single day, 3 times a day until you get a hold of them. You call them in the morning, afternoon, and evening. Morning, afternoon, evening. So you're going to have in your database are going to be leads that have not been touched, right? At any given time, we have about 40 leads in our database, only 40, that have not been touched. Those not have been touched leads are leads that you want to essentially, those ones you want to deal with, is go back and call them 3 times a day. So that 3 times a day, in the morning, afternoon, evening, you'll eventually get a hold of them and you'll be able to book an appointment. And those people, literally, it's manually calling them 3 times a day. And you're going to have a list of them. You're going to sit down, and maybe you have a job, maybe you're running around, maybe you're booking, talking to sellers, maybe you're selling properties. That is something that's critical. You got to block and say, listen, I've got an hour and I've got to bust through and I got to call all these, leave voicemails and say, hey, I know that you are looking to sell your property. We're looking to buy one more property this week. I've got a cash offer I can get you, in the next 24 to 48 hours. Please give us a call back. I'd love to talk to you about it. So, and you can get them to inbound and call you back off that, which is obviously what you want to do. If you want to learn, if you guys are just learning, want to learn how to do this business and get up and going, in my bio, I have a link of a webinar, and that webinar goes through a ton of this process and exactly what I do and how do I do it, and it showcases 4 students and their success on how they go up and crush it. So I'll talk to you guys later. Have an awesome day.